Hi everyone, Gemma here, thanks for watching today. In this video we're going to be making a Mother's Day card and it'll be an octagon shaped easel card. So before I talk you through what I'll be using today, you don't need any specialty dies. You could use a circle cutter, draw around a plate, you could do a square using your trimmer, a rectangle, etc. You can use the supplies that you have in your stash. So for the florals, I've got the Build a Flower Honeysuckle layering stamp set from Altenew and the coordinating die. From textures, I've got the Floral Script Build a Frame die set. So I'm going to be using this shape here and this circular frame. From Made to Surprise, the linen embossing folder. From Simply Made Crafts, this is the Vanity Collection stamp set. So we've got Happy Mother's Day, and I may use Make Yourself a Priority. Then lastly, the Octagon Nestables from Creative Craft Products. So I am missing a few dies here. I set some aside to create a project and I had a bit of a sort out and I think I threw them away, which was quite silly of me. And I've checked and Craft Stash no longer have this set in stock, so I'm just using the ones that I have and just making do with what I've got left in the set. So I've prepared a lot of my items off camera. So first of all, I took a piece of A4 cardstock and I scored in the centre. I then took one of my larger octagon dies. So this one measures 6 3/4. And I placed the die over the folded cardstock with the folded edge at the top and I tacked it in place. So I wasn't able to get the whole of the shape on the A4 cardstock, which is absolutely fine because we won't see this part missing, because we've cut an additional shape in the same size die, and that will be placed over the top like so, and then it will stand like this, so you won't see that it's missing. It's entirely up to you. If you've got larger cardstock and you can get more of the shape to fit, then you go ahead and do that, but I'm quite happy with what I've achieved there. Then using the next octagon down, I've cut a white piece that will sit on the front like so. So you've got a nice border and I've embossed that. I also then die cut this piece that will fit inside the card base. So I cut it slightly larger, indicated where I needed to trim the piece, trimmed it and then run it through the embossing folder. This is quite a lightweight cardstock. I think it's about 220 GSM. So I'm going to use some Clal glue to attach my pieces together, and that will help strengthen it. So I've gone ahead and I've attached my white piece to the base and my white piece to the front of the card, and now I'm going to attach this to the easel base. So I'm using the score line as my guideline, and I'm just adding glue into this section here, so no glue on this section. And then I'm just going to line everything up. Like so. I'm just going to set that to one side and let that dry, and we'll work on our other pieces. So from this set I've cut this frame die 3 times in gold cardstock. So there's the 3 there. I've also cut this shape here in this darker teal cardstock. I've kept the centerpiece that comes out, and I've embossed that as well with the same embossing folder. Hopefully you can see that. I also kept the piece that came out of the center of this die, and I've just gone around and trimmed each edge so that it sits nicely inside there, with about a 1/2 inch border around each edge. So these 3 frames will be stacked on top of one another like so. This will then sit inside. I've then got that frame piece there and this piece to sit inside there. So I've gone ahead and prepared lots of my elements off camera using the stamp and die set. So it's quite simple to follow. All the stamps are labelled. So for example, we've got the honeysuckle there, so it's labelled A1. You've then got the next stamp down A2, A3, A4 and A5. And then the same with all the other elements. You've got the outline stamp, B1. Then you've got the next layer down, B2, B3, B4. It's all inside the leaflet that's included, and it's a step-by-step guide. So I've got these pieces here, as well as these. Lots of the leaf elements. So I've just stamped and die cut quite a few pieces so I can have a nice sort of floral element on the side of the card. Using the same nesting dies, I've cut this piece in white cardstock and heat embossed Happy Mother's Day. So that will sit sort of inside there. And then I'm going to have the floral pieces sort of on the right hand side, like so. This is just an example. So I'm now going to start assembling everything together. So a few dots around the frame should be sufficient. If there's anything lifting, I can always go back in with my fine tip glue bottle. So I like to keep this unblocked with a jewellery pin. So my friend Simone from Blonde Cards and Crafts makes them and sells them on Etsy. So I'll pop a link in the description box below if you'd like to have one of those. So I've placed my first frame down, and now I'm going to attach this piece so I've got an equal border around the frame. Then I'm going to attach the remaining 2 frames. Next, I'm going to add the frame into the center there. So I'm going to use some double-sided tape. So if you get any of the glue on the open areas, you can just go in with your tweezers and just remove those cobwebs, as I call them. I didn't get a lot of the glue on the frame because of the surface, and the shape. So I'm just going to add a few dots of liquid glue. Ideally you wouldn't use this on mirror cardstock. It should help it stick in place. Next I'm going to add the centerpiece. I'm just going to attach it using some foam pads. I'm also going to pop my sentiment up on some foam adhesive as well, and I'm just going to use some wet glue on this piece to make sure I've got it in the right orientation. So I want to start attaching my floral elements now, so I'm going to have a cluster here on the right hand side, and I don't want this to block any of the sentiment. So I'm going to place it around about there, and then I'm going to have some flowers and the leaves following the shape around the edge here. Now that that's placed, I'm going to pop you on high speed, use my hot glue and add the rest of the cluster there. So there's the cluster of flowers all finished. I've added some gems as well for extra embellishment, and I spent a lot of time trying to decide what I wanted as my stopper here. I thought about adding some more flowers, another sentiment. I tried some sort of frame detail here. I just didn't like how it looked. Then I thought I'd use some gems or some embellishments, but it's standing up by itself on the raised edge of the embossed paper there. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. It looks quite simple. I like the white background, and it's standing up perfectly fine. So it's entirely up to you if you want to add something extra there. As I said, I just couldn't decide on what I wanted to use, but I think it looks really nice like that. So hopefully you can see that okay. So I am going to need a slightly larger envelope because I have come over the sides there, but as this isn't square shaped anyway, I think I'll be able to get away with an 8x8 envelope, so that should be fine. So let me know what you think of today's card. I'm really pleased with it. I think all the colours work lovely together, the yellows, the greens, and then the teal colour cardstock, and the gold just adds that extra sparkle and finish to the card. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, you might want to hit the like button, leave a comment, or consider subscribing to the channel. If you do subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future tutorials. My regular YouTube schedule is Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday at 1 PM. However, I do post additional content outside of my normal schedule. So if you're signed up to the notifications, then you won't miss out on any of my videos. Any products used in today's video will be listed in the description box below. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!